Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the channel. If you can hear the background noise, I'm sorry. Just bear with me. But it's Coach Cristobal setting the stage for a big 2023 season. And the reason I asked that particular question is because I was watching Coach Hayes' show Sunday night. He was breaking down the Josh Pate as well, the Josh Pate interview with Mario Cristobal. And someone in the comment section said that we would be a young team going into 2023. And I could not disagree with that anymore. But, well, when I say anymore, I mean like there's not enough ways that I can disagree with that particular statement. But I want to talk about some of the things that stood out to me in that interview that Coach Cristobal did with Josh Pate. So the first thing that stood out to me was Josh Pate made the comment about the attrition, right? And so Coach Cristobal, paraphrasing it, spoke about that there was attrition, there was guys who didn't fully buy in. Now, that was one of those debates that raged on message boards, Twitter, everything about the buy-in. You got some people that stand on the side of the coaches, some guys stand on the side of the players about who actually was at fault. Now, I believe that the fault was on both sides, honestly, but I have to put more onus on the coaches because at the end of the day, it's your job because a player can be cut, right? A player can be cut, but also a coach can be fired, especially if you put results up like we did this past year. So I think when we look at it, the majority of the coaches left and then a lot of players left as well. So that's kind of one of those particular situations. But Coach Cristobal made the statement that even with all the attrition, it left a nice core group of guys, right? That you can build off of, right? So this last recruiting class, plus the recruiting class that he got in his first year, and then he spoke about how this upcoming recruiting class has an opportunity to be better than the recruiting class from last particular season. That the core group of guys that were still here, those are the guys that you need, right? And so when I'm thinking about that core group, I'm thinking about obviously Cam Kitchens, I'm thinking about James Williams, I'm thinking about Leonard Taylor, I'm thinking about even Corey Flagg, right? Obviously thinking about Tyler Van Dyke, and those are just the guys that I'm just thinking about in terms of just core pieces that we have, right? So then Coach Cristobal kind of had a very head-scratching moment to me, right? Now, Josh Pate asked him about the hiring of Shannon Dawson. And Coach Cristobal spoke about that, well, hey, you know, when you look around South Florida, you look at the athletes, this is the type of offense that they've been clamoring for, an offense that can utilize their skill set, and Shannon Dawson is that guy. Now, the reason I'm scratching my head is because Coach Cristobal, did you just figure this out after this abomination of a season? Now, obviously, of course, I know some people, well, Josh Gaddis wasn't his first choice, and it was this and it was that, and my rebuttal is simply, there are 100 other spread-based coordinators that could have been hired over Josh Gaddis. There's no denying that. You have to look hard to find a Josh Gaddis. You don't have to look hard to find a Shannon Dawson. But again, we're not here for that particular discussion. But to Coach Cristobal's credit, I will say that there's another interview piece that I saw prior in which Coach Cristobal made the statement that some things that they did at Alabama and some things that they did at Oregon, that they worked there, but they did not work here. So you got to recalibrate, you know, the approach. And so I think this is a way of recalibrating the approach, even though I'm in wait and see mode, right? I'm really in wait and see mode. Initially, I was like, yeah, we're gonna do this and do this, but now that I've had time to kind of sit on it, obviously after watching the spring game, I said, I don't think this offense is gonna be what a lot of people think it's gonna be. I think it's gonna be better, but I don't think it's going to do what many people think it's going to do. But if it leads to victories, that's the most important thing at the end of the day, right? Doesn't matter how you get it, as long as at the end of the day, we have more points than the opposition had, right? So, but those were the two things that really stood out to me from the Coach Cristobal's interview. So now on to the second part of the video, or the second subject I want to touch on. If you haven't watched that particular Josh Pate, Coach Cristobal interview, go check it out. I implore you to go watch it. Watch Coach Hayes break it down, because he has some very, very interesting insight on a lot of these particular things that he was talking about. And some of the things were they were really eye-opening when you talk about some of the things that people in the community of Miami feel that the University of Miami is lacking in terms of community relations. But to go check out Coach Hayes' page for that. So, again, so someone in the chat said, man, we got a young team going in 2023. And I'm like, no, we don't have a young team going to 2023. And so that what gave me the idea of this particular video is Coach Cristobal setting the stage for a big 2023. So when you look at the potential depth chart, or just the starting 22, what you're gonna see is just the majority are upperclassmen, juniors and above. And so that's not a young team by any stretch. That's not a young team. Cam Kitchens will be a junior. James Williams will be a junior. TVD is a senior. Matt Lee, senior. Cohen, junior. Jalen Rivers, junior. Don Chaney, Henry Parrish, these are juniors. I believe Jacoby George and X are juniors or seniors. You know, that COVID thing throws me off. But we're not talking about a young team. So when I look at the additions, because I want to do a video previously about where do I think that the influx of transfer portal guys, where does that put us? Like how many more wins does that give us? Because you've heard me say it in the past, I'm 6-6. Portal additions 7-5, right? Honestly, because there's still some questions that I feel like cannot be answered just by throwing some talent at it, right? There's some other things that have to go on. But I'm almost at a crossroads at this particular point, because I'm thinking to myself, I say, well, wait a minute. This is Coach Cristobal's second year. We got a completely new coaching staff, right? This is year 2, but some fans, this is really year 1, because last year was year 0. So, but in any regard, are we to treat this like a year 2 type of thing, or are we supposed to treat this as we have a veteran team that has upperclassmen that are getting the majority of the snaps, and so that allows for the younger guys to come in and spot duty and get that experience? And we have some younger guys who also can come in and play just as good as the starters at quite a few positions. And that's the crossroads. But as I thought about it, and again, I tell y'all all the time on a lot of my videos, I'm not the recruiting guy. I'm not the recruiting guy. But I do know that at least from the just the bigger picture, if you get plus athletes in the building, committed, playing, your chances for winning increase exponentially. Especially if those guys have the right mindset when they come in and work and they don't want things given to them. So you're always in an advantageous situation when you have those type of guys on the roster. So if we have a good year, 9 wins, 10 wins, top 5 class, hands down. But with a veteran team, even though it's year 2, new staff, ideally, it almost puts Coach Cristobal in a situation where you have to have a Mel Tucker-like second year, because you're losing so much. We obviously you can get a quarterback in the portal, but it's almost like, I mean, that's you're rolling the dice. We'll be losing 3 starters on the offensive line, Matt Lee, Cohen, as well as Jalen Rivers, and if Zion Nelson comes back, we're talking 4 stars on the offensive line. Henry Parrish and Don Chaney, they will be leaving because this is a running back. You're a running back. There's no need to stay for 4 years. Cam Kitchens potentially could be leaving. James Williams potentially. LT, Harrison Hunt, corners will be leaving. So when you take all that and when you put all that into perspective, what you have leaving. Now there's some good talent coming in, but we gotta have a good year for a third good class to come in. Because you can't have a good class, which was the first class, a great class, that particular class, and then you just go back down to a good or a solid class. And a lot of guys are in wait and see mode about what's going on with Hurricanes. And then even if you do have some commitments, that doesn't mean anything, right? Jaden Rashada flipped, Comani McClain flipped. So you're not even entitled to have the high-end guys to remain loyal all the way to December. And I know a lot of us are in the dumps, 6-6 like myself, 7-5. But taking off my critical glasses, the talent level has increased. Everyone is saying the right things about buying in, about this staff fits better with the players. All that stuff it sounds very good. This is a veteran team. This team has been through a lot of adversity. This team went through adversity in 2021. They went through adversity last year. So there should be no adversity that they face this particular year that should bend them or fold them, because they've been there. Because they were thrown into the fire as youngsters, and now they are the leaders of the team. So when you take all of that stuff into consideration, a veteran team that's been tested, that's been through adversity, you can't go 7-5 this year. You can't go 6-6, even if this is a rebuild. Because if they go 6-6 and 7-5, I don't see a top 5 class. And if that's the case, I project that 5-7, 6-6, 7-5, and then we're talking 6-6, 7-5 going into the 24 season. I know Coach Cristobal has a 10-year deal, and I just don't think. Now, he'll probably get the third year, so you get the 20, you got the 25 year, which would be year 4, and you got the potential of some of the young guys, we're loading back up again. But even in 24, there'll be some more talent leaving. So at this point, I do feel like that this year is so important when you add in all the extra variables. But again, man, you guys let me know what y'all think, man. I'm still on my 7-5 thing, but again, when I take off my critical glasses and look at the big picture, this has to be a good year. The way that they've attacked the portal, the way they've done certain things, and just the reshuffling, the new coaches, it has to be one of those type of years. It can't be just a 2-game improvement from last year, even though that's great. But that's great if you have a young team. This is not a young team. This is an old team. But anyway, man, y'all let me know what y'all think in the comments, man. Like, share, subscribe, comment. And as always, it's about the you.